These may feel like desperate times. But people of endurance and character and hope have come before us and overcome seemingly insurmountable odds to advance freedom and justice. In 1857, the Supreme Court delivered the Dred Scott decision, which was a devastating legal blow to the abolitionist movement, which at that point had been building for more than 30 years. As you may recall, that decision included the line that a black man had no rights that a white man was bound to respect. No rights. Shortly after this decision came down, Frederick Douglass spoke at a gathering of abolitionists. And in that moment that to many felt very dark, he said this: "My hopes were never brighter than now. I have no fear that the national conscience will be put to sleep by such an open, glaring, and scandalous tissue of lies as that decision is. The Supreme Court of the United States is not the only power in this world. It is very great, but the Supreme Court of the Almighty is greater. Judge Taney can do many things, but he cannot perform impossibilities. He cannot bail out the ocean, annihilate the firm old earth, or pluck the silvery star of liberty from our northern sky. He may decide and decide again, but he cannot reverse the decision of the Most High. He cannot change the essential nature of things, making evil good and good evil. Happily for the whole human family, their rights have been defined, declared, and decided in a court higher than the Supreme Court." Douglass had been through unspeakable violence as an enslaved person, and then faced further threats as a prominent abolitionist. And he spoke these words at a time when many said the abolitionists had lost, and that in spite of their decades of organizing, the institution of slavery was stronger than it had ever been. But in fact, what Douglass predicted did come to pass. The Dred Scott decision was one of the moments that further awakened the moral conscience of the nation. And it was less than 6 years later that Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. History shows us that in struggles for justice, there comes a point when the impossible becomes inevitable. Change doesn't come at a steady pace, but rather things move very slowly and then very quickly. And we can never know for sure where we are on that timeline. And so what we can do in our own times of trouble is to endure in struggle and to trust that out of endurance comes confidence and character, and that out of these comes a true hope, a hope that will not be put to shame. There's a meeting down in Washington, and you belong, you belong, you belong. There's a meeting down in Washington, and I belong. We belong at the meeting. We are building a movement. You belong. You belong. You belong. We are building a movement. We belong. We belong at the meeting. We are fighting for justice. You belong. You belong. You belong. We are fighting for justice, and I belong. We belong at the meeting. Forward together and not one step back.